Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and call this informal commission meeting to order on March 4th, 2024. It appears that no one has asked to address the commission this evening. And we have a few presentations. First, we will start with our county trustee, Ms. Kimberly Wiggins, for hotel motel tax presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and this body of commissioners. We are here for our quarterly report on auditing our hotels. The purpose of auditing our hotels and motels is to ensure that we are actually receiving what is reported in a timely manner to the trustee's office, as well as to make sure we're giving guidelines to the hotels regarding their exemptions. These audits are performed in accordance with our Private Act of 1979. And our audit firm is Stone, Rudolph, and Henry, and tonight I have Ms. Caroline Hadley with me. Caroline?
Good evening. My name is Caroline Hadley, and I'm an auditor with Stone, Rudolph, and Henry, as she mentioned. We perform the testing of select hotels and motels each quarter to ensure compliance with the occupancy tax requirements. A listing of our procedures can be found in our report. 11 hotels were selected for testing this quarter, plus we had 2 hotels carried over from the previous quarter. We were able to test 9 of those 13, and the remaining 4 will be carried forward to next quarter. For this quarter, we noted a total overpayment of $348.82 and total underpayments of $314.83. 5 hotels were tested without exemption. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Our common deficiencies continue to be how to calculate penalty and interest, as well as how to use the forms appropriately when you're dealing with occupants who have a stay over 30 days. We regularly provide this information to you about our historical collections so that you all will know how to move accordingly as you move into budget season. As you can see, from 2020 until current, we're from $2.6 million to $4.7 million in occupancy tax. Our short-term rentals are also included in the hotel motel report out through the Department of Revenue due to Governor Lee signing the public chapter 787 in July of 2020, and the first payment was remitted to us in 2021. So on the short-term rentals, what you will see is in 2021, as you all know, we were doing this organically in 2018 until that time, and we collected $166,000. I know y'all probably wish, but $166,000 in 2021, and to date, we have $438,000. Our current allocation is 25% of the hotel motel occupancy tax is remitted to the City of Clarksville General Fund, 50% to our Tourism Promotion Fund, and 25% to Montgomery County's General Fund. Mayor, this concludes our report.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for Ms. Wiggins? Commissioner Gannon.
I don't have a question for Ms. Wiggins. However, on our screen and on the thing up there as well, we have this March 4th, 2024 informal. Yeah, okay. Just making sure it was.
Thank you, Patrick's notifications popped up. Sorry, Patrick. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have a couple of proclamations. I'll be heading down there. So we have a couple of proclamations this evening to honor the Governor's Volunteer Stars Award. And I'm honored to say that this first one is a good friend of mine, Lynn Stokes, if you don't mind coming down here. So I had the pleasure of working side by side with Lynn over at the City of Clarksville for a while. as she was the lead auditor, and you can tell that she has a kind heart and loves investing in others. Even when I was there, I felt like she would just try to share any wisdom that she had with me, and it was an honor working with you, and I was able to serve with her husband on the board of the YMCA, so I'm very happy that she's gotten this award, and I better jump into it. So whereas the Governor's Volunteer Stars Award is a statewide recognition program instituted by former Governor Phil Bredesen to honor and publicly recognize citizens from each county for their exemplary volunteer service to their community. And whereas Lynn Stokes has been awarded the honor as the 2023 Montgomery County Adult Recipient for her work to support Habitat for Humanity in Montgomery County, the Fort Campbell Historical Foundation, and the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program through the United Way. And whereas after retiring as lead internal auditor for the city of Clarksville in 2015, Lynn increased her commitment to volunteer her financial expertise with nonprofit organizations. And whereas Lynn has worked tirelessly for 7 years to assist Habitat for Humanity of Montgomery County, where she has served as the board president, treasurer, and finance committee member. Her servant leadership style sets an excellent example for fellow volunteers and reflects the Christian values of Habitat. She takes an active role in Habitat, giving time to perform and guide the work while focusing on the dignity of people. Her service provides stable housing to low-income families and critical tax services to under-resourced. In working to provide stability in housing, her work has lasting value for generations, giving families more disposable income for health care, education, and contributing to civic life. And whereas through her work with the Fort Campbell Historical Foundation as Chief Financial Officer, with 20-plus years of service, Lynn provides thoughtful input on property acquisition, team building, staff development, and finance. She builds civic pride by recognizing Fort Campbell's role in the history and the culture of Clarksville, Montgomery County. Whereas Lynn's compassion leads her to build up organizations by bringing diverse groups together to serve the greater good of our community. Now, therefore, I, Wes Golden, Mayor of Montgomery County, Tennessee, do hereby encourage all citizens to join me in recognizing Lynn Stokes for her commitment to our community and to making Montgomery County a better place to live. If you don't mind, give her a hand.
I just want to say real quickly, thank you so much. I certainly don't feel, I don't even recognize that person that he read all of that. But I especially want to thank my Rob Selko and my friends at Habitat for Humanity for nominating me for this. And I thank there are a number of commissioners here who have supported Habitat in different ways and had a great impact on that organization. And so I thank you for your service and donations in that regard. Also for the Fort Campbell Historical Foundation, this body had, in 2022, gave a very generous donation to that organization to help with the building of Wings of Liberty Museum, and that was a crucial donation. It really jump-started that, and it's a project that's going to come to fruition, and I just thank you all so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Did y'all read between the lines? She's still trying to get more funding. Did y'all see that? Mighty good. Thank you, Lynn. All right. So Darius Doss, come on down. Appreciate you being here. So Darius is somebody who invests in other people, just like we talked about with Lynn, but focusing on our youth, and that's a man after my own heart. I appreciate what you're doing. So whereas Darius Doss has been awarded this honor as the 2023 Montgomery County Youth Recipient for his combined commitment and passion for volunteering with young students at Norman Smith Elementary School. And whereas Darius is a football player at Austin Peay State University, go Vols, and volunteers to support our social, emotional, and academic needs of students. He visits Norman Smith Elementary School students weekly and brings other APSU students with him when possible. And whereas Darius has been able to build relationships with students when others could not, he spends time with students talking about life and topics of the student's choice while eating lunch, playing board games, and enjoying recess, holding students accountable for their actions and for completing their schoolwork. The students look forward to his visits, asking when he is coming next. And whereas APSU football players plan to make one visit to Norman Smith Elementary, but after seeing his needs and meeting the students, Darius immediately felt a need to contribute to serve. The love and support he gives is what you would expect from a great father or older brother. Now, therefore, I, Wes Golden, Mayor of Montgomery County, do hereby encourage all citizens to join me in recognizing Darius Ross for his commitment to mentoring Montgomery County youth. All right. It's good recognizing good people. Next, we'll move into our public hearing for zoning resolutions. Mr. Tyndall.
Good evening, Mayor and County Commission. We have one case tonight. All right, this property is from the applicant of Jonathan Blick. It's 2.32 acres, currently zoned R3, and it is requesting to go to C5, Highway and Arterial Commercial District. It is not an extension of the C5, and we'll show you in a second. There's some nearby. The parcel is located at the northwest corner of Oakwood Road and Wine Lane. County Commission District Number 7. This is in the rural area, and I think I'll explain prior to the growth plan, this area was settled, and R3 at the time when zoning was put in place in the 70s was probably the most appropriate thing. Even though R3 is not a rural area zone anymore, we don't go back and clean that up after the growth plan was put in place both in 99 and again in 2020. The applicant's statement is to offer a commercial use to match the properties in the area, 508 feet from property. We feel this is the highest and best use rather than the multifamily with 1,200 feet of highway frontage. And we have a little more blown out map so you can see the two different entrances to Oakwood Road off of Dover Road. Going back in history a little bit, this used to be the highway out there before and in fact, Old Dover Road was the original one, then Oakwood Road, and then now the new road that we know as Dover Road is the new state highway. And you can see how over time those roads have changed, which when it was just the 2-lane road of Old Dover Road, this probably was a stopover point as you were driving on the state highway. There's one of the commercial buildings in the area that's actually on an, I believe that's on an R3 or ag piece of property out there, so that's a grandfathered use, as we say. It's currently vacant. This is the property in question. The applicant has brought in some rock and does have some buildings out there. I believe that's when the code department said they need to pursue rezoning out there. This is the side road, so Oakwood Road looking back to Old Dover Road and looking back at the property. This is a little further down. That is a tow-in operation that is also being operated currently, not in compliant with its zoning, and the code department has spoken to them about moving or pursuing a rezoning. I think they're going to wait and see what happens. Department comments or concerns on this one? The highway department has said that a traffic study would be done at site plan depending on the use. The drainage comments from the code department is area does include possible wetlands. There were no other comments or concerns from other departments. This would be served by septic services this far out and Woodlawn utility for water. Staff does recommend disapproval. The proposed zoning is inconsistent with the land use plan. The proposed C5 highway and arterial commercial district should have frontage and visibility from an established Dover Road and not Old Dover or Oakwood Road. The proposed C5 highway and arterial commercial request appears out of character with the immediate rural character and residential uses. This site has wet soil and limited drainage, increasing the possible intensity of the uses on the parcel of land, and this condition is discouraged, and overall use of the property is very likely limited due to the need of septic and on-site services. Planning Commission also recommended disapproval.
Any questions for Mr. Tyndall? Commissioner Fry.
Hey, regarding the comprehensive plan that we're expecting you to present to us in the upcoming months, what would be the expected land use plan for this property under that new?
Well, I haven't dug into it yet for this specific crossroads. This is not an area we identified as what we call a rural crossroad where we'd want to intensify uses, and we discourage strip commercialization in the new plan, which means don't keep spreading out, keep using what you have already available. And I think we showed you on the other map, and you can kind of make it out here. There is some other C5 in the area that is not currently underused or not used for this purpose. So leave it as it is would be kind of our recommendation that way. But the new plan doesn't necessarily change what we would have done with this. It treats it very similarly.
Commissioner Burkholder.
Thank you. Mr. Tyndall, what would they be able to do with the R3 that's there now? What would that allow?
Yeah, that's very contingent on the septic system that they could get in there. So R3 with 2 acres, if you don't divide it, you could have up to a quadplex if you could get that kind of a septic system to perk out there. If you divided it into a couple of parcels, if it was perfect soils, you could have multiple quadplexes out there, I believe up to 3 or 4. Or you could divide it into single-family lots, small single-family lots down to 12,000 square feet. Again, all pending the soil out there, which we don't think the soil has the capability of supporting more than a couple bedroom system on the entire 2 acres.
Okay. I guess my concern would be, this is right next to the landfill, and so any further development for houses just doesn't make a lot of sense there. So in my mind, a commercial use would be far more appropriate, being that close to landfill with the odors and things like that, than an R3. Obviously, ag would probably be better, but I don't know that that's going to happen just the way that's all cut off the way it is. That would be my concern with that.
Commissioner Pritchard.
Yes, I have a question here. It says that the Regional Planning Commission recommended disapproval. and the Planning Commission staff recommended disapproval, but then it says that it's hereby approved.
I'm sorry, where, are you looking at the resolution?
Yeah, it says it at the bottom of the resolution that the zone classification of the property of Jonathan Blick from R3 to C5 is hereby approved.
Yeah, we always make the resolutions, and the county attorney can correct me if I'm wrong. All the motions are made in the affirmative, so if you do pass it, it will be approved, or if you don't pass it, it's just not approved. But every resolution comes to you as an approval.
Okay, but as far as in reality, the Planning Commission has disapproved it, and specifically because of the position where it's at.
The planning commission takes our staff recommendation, and typically they'll pick out one or two things, but they agreed with staff on our recommendation for disapproval.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question, Jeff. You mentioned a towing company that's out of compliance at present. Which lot or property are they on?
Yes, I'll show you if I can get a cursor. Okay, if you can see my cursor, it's just below this C5. So they didn't zone that entire property down there. There is land in the back of the C5 if they just move it up a little bit. I think it was just an error on the owner's part where they thought their property line was and where the actual property was being used for that use. But the code department is working with them.
And if you look at the C5 that's to the left of the subject property, what's the current use on that?
I believe that's vacant. It has one small shed on it. It has a metal building, but not that metal building from the picture you saw there. And the rest of it's vacant.
So given the use of Oakwood Road as it is now, does that satisfy an arterial road?
It does not. And that was part of what the staff's recommendation was leading towards, is that Oakwood at one point, Old Dover Road at one point in history was the arterial
Right.
road out there. Dover Road is now the arterial road. And this doesn't back up or front on Dover Road. So the staff felt that the Oakwood Road has relatively low volume, and you can't see these properties from Dover Road to drive commercial activities there. So there's other commercial zoning that we thought might be more appropriate, C1 or C2, for instance. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow what the property owner and applicant want to do, which is the open sales. That requires a C5 only zone. And I think they'll be here tonight to speak on that.
Okay, that's it. Thanks, Jeff.
Commissioner Woodruff.
Thank you, Mayor. We just got a packet this afternoon, Jeff, and it talks about proposed use property, a small home sale. Does that mean that these small houses gonna be developed there and moved to a different location, or are they gonna be on that particular site under the C5?
Yeah, that wouldn't let them be built on site. They're just gonna be sheds and other movable tiny homes, for lack of a better word, for sale on the property.
So they won't be setting up like sewage or anything like that on these houses?
Unless they
They're gonna be
put an
built and
office
moved
on
somewhere
site.
else?
Yeah, it's just outdoor sales. So anytime you have outdoor equipment, building equipment, heavy trucks, sheds like this, that's all considered outdoor sales, and it's a C5 use
Okay,
in the county.
thank you.
Commissioner Padro.
Did you say that the planning commission recommended disapproval because of lack of drainage?
So when we present at the planning commission, the staff recommends, and you can see it in our staff report there, and then the planning commission will often choose one of those items there. If I recall right by my notes, it was the number 3 there is where they said that it appeared out of character with the immediate rural and residential uses in the area. We always make a motion with a reason. We don't just make a motion at the planning commission. So that was the motion that was made for disapproval, and then it was approved by the board for disapproval.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe my age getting the better of me. I forgot one other thing I was going to ask. How rare is it for us to get from the staff and the RPC a disapproval from both sides? Because I can't remember one that we've had in a long time.
It happens from time to time, maybe 10 or 20% of the time. Sometimes you'll get some split decisions. Often you'll get an approval from
Right,
both
usually
of
a
us.
split,
Yeah.
but
There haven't been a tremendous amount of cases the last year or so at the county level, but I think even in that last year, you've probably had a disapproval in there.
so changing a zoning to something that this doesn't qualify for because it's not on an arterial road, it's not on a highway, doesn't that present a problem?
I believe in this case, you're chasing the applicant's desire for the use versus the actual zoning of the property. They want the C5 for the actual use of the property, which comes down to the drainage of the property, not being able to drain well for a more intense couple bedroom or couple unit office building or something like that.
I can appreciate that, but aren't we setting a precedent if we do that?
That's what the planning commission staff feels.
I would tend to wholeheartedly agree with them on that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions for Mr. Tyndall? Commissioner Fry.
Given things that we would typically see with C5, like a strip center, like you mentioned, is that even possible given the condition of the property?
I'm not a soil scientist, difficult to explain that. I think the applicant might bring a little more information when it comes to the soils. We also do have our county stormwater folks here, and we don't have TDEC who does the groundwater. But from my recollection on this property is it only has a 1 or 2 bedroom system out there right now from a previous use that was out there. And with it being as wet as it is, you may not have enough land to perk a septic system that's large enough to have any kind of commercial use on it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Next, we will allow 3 people to speak for and the 3 people to speak against. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak on behalf? Come on down and state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Jonathan Blick, 2015 Mossy Oak Circle here in Clarksville, Tennessee. So just a little bit about me. I'm a realtor and an investor focused on building affordable houses. We're currently building site-built homes. These prices were $250,000 price range and up. We're requesting the rezoning of a 2.3 acre tract, R3 to C5, to obtain the right to advertise the sale of small, affordable housing options. These options would typically be in the $100 a square foot, so $65,000 to $85,000 landed to those people. It comes with a standard bedroom, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, equipped with all the basic needs, living room, kitchen, laundry room. These homes can be installed on a permanent foundation. We believe these homes are the only way to build a more affordable home for all. This property borders 2 old highways with a 3rd street totaling 1,200 feet of road frontage. For 2.3 acres, that's a lot of road frontage. We think that C5, less than 500 feet in one direction and 1,000 feet in the other direction, opposite direction, should be acceptable zoning request. Like I've stated, we're hoping for an affordable housing option for our community and our state. With the current zoning code, C5 is the only zoning that will support that. We're trying to offer, for what we are trying to offer, we would appreciate your vote for this approval. Just some basic information on the wet areas. R3 does not require any kind of a site plan. So currently, if we move to C5, we're going to be restricting our use on that based on those site plan needs. And then You know, we just think that it's more logical for us to rezone what we currently already own than trying to buy somebody else that's 400 feet away from us. So we would just appreciate your vote. And I guess I can't take any questions, but if you do, you should have a packet in front of you based with photos of those single-family homes that we would offer, and then just some commercial buildings in the area that are probably either rezoned C5 or zone C5 or currently operating in the agricultural zone. And we just would appreciate your vote and your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Would anybody else like to speak on behalf of CZ01 2024? Seeing none, is there anyone that wishes to speak against CZ01 2024? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for zoning resolutions. Moving into our resolutions. First, we have 2431 resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners to approve the appointment of Elizabeth Black as county purchasing agent. Any discussion on 2431? Seeing none. 2432, resolution authorizing Montgomery County to enter into a lease agreement for the purpose of farming certain portions of county-owned property known as the Kirkwood property. Any discussion? Commissioner Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. That is being bid on, correct? Or are we selecting a?
Yes, sir. It went through the RFP process, and this was the best that came in.
Thank you.
Commissioner Leverett.
Yes, Mayor. The resolution says that the lease agreement was to start January 1st, 2024, but we're just getting this. Should we have gotten this earlier or?
Yep.
I didn't hear what he said.
He said the RFPs came in when they did, and it's the same people that were currently leasing the property as well.
So this is just a renewal, pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
At a higher rate,
At a higher rate, okay. Thank you.
based on their bid that they submitted. Yes, ma'am. Any other discussion on 2432, Commissioner Fry?
Would you elaborate on what this property is? Because it infers about the Kirkwood schools, but we've already built two, and I'm trying to figure out why we still have all this land left.
It's the property on Arkadelphia Road that was originally purchased for Kirkwood School. And
For a different school?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions, discussion, comments? Seeing none, moving on to 2433, resolution of the Montgomery County Commission to embrace the comprehensive safety action plan and actively work towards the elimination of all traffic fatalities and serious injuries on county roadways by year 2045. Any discussion on 2433? Commissioner Gannon.
Having looked through it, is that basically all I saw was they're trying to control the speed limits, if you will, or decrease or increase speed limits on certain roads? Can you expand on that a little bit?
I'll call our highway supervisor, Jeff Bryan, up.
Commissioners, I've also got Alex Morris here. He's the project manager for this implementation of going after grant money. So I'm going to kind of let him take over and kind of explain that.
Good evening, Commissioners. The Safety Action Plan that you have before you was developed to go after grant money from the Safe Streets for All Act. And what it does is it comprises data from several facets to include crash data, pavement conditions, things like that, and identifies troubled corridors that we can do projects with to improve the safety of those. Some may be speed limits, some may be road widenings, intersection realignments, pedestrian pathways, it just varies. So it's not restricted to one specific thing, but just a wide array of safety improvements.
Would be the roads that are listed in there that are,
Yes,
we're
sir.
going for the grants?
Those are the primary ones we're looking at.
Commissioner Woodruff.
Thank you, Mayor. I got a question. Does this plan include pedestrian overcross, meaning pedestrian bridges in the county? And the reason I'm asking that question is because about 4 years ago, I brought the same topic up to several people, and they thought that it was too costly. But at the same time, we do have a state university here, and if we're going to ask for state money, let's ask for enough to build a pedestrian bridge across College and University Boulevard, because we just built a $165 million facility, and we don't have a way to get students across the street. And at that particular intersection, there's somewhere between 300 and 700 students crossing every day. And we're just looking for
It's just for
an
county
opportunity.
roads, right? Not,
So if you include that, I'd be for this. Thank you.
so the scope of work for them is just the county roads, so that would be non-city roads, so anything outside of the city limits and not state roads, right?
Yes, sir. It is strictly just county roads outside city limits, and it is federal funding we're going after, not state money. Federal funds that go straight to the local government that do not pass through TDOT.
Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to tell Jeff and Alex how much I appreciate serving on the committee and getting this action plan together. What I would tell my fellow commissioners is turn to page 12. What you'll see on page 12 of this report is about 22 different roads. What you'll notice is on every one of every one of those roads, the last 4 years there have been fatalities. Those are people that are no longer living here because of a fatality at those roads, and they need to be worked on and fixed. And there's various reasons for that. They've come up with ideas on whether sometimes it could be a traffic interchange, a widening of a road, or a changing of a speed limit. But these are all residents in our community that no longer exist in our community because of fatalities at those roads. This is really serious. It's an opportunity for us to go after grants. It's well worth our time. I hope that you'll all support it along with me. I'm very excited about this. I think it'll improve the community greatly as far as our public safety. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Fry.
Thank you. And a lot of these projects look like they'd be great improvements. My question is, would adopting this subject us to any requirements that we aren't currently required to follow and in perpetuity after the grant monies are applied for?
Not that I'm aware of. It would be considered a lot like local programs. There'd be a cost share, but that's it. When we apply for the grants, we'll use this document to reference for the project we're trying to fund. And so that will be the primary use for this document, is just to relate information of what are we going to use the funds for. We're going to use them to widen this road or provide a common use path on this area, something like that. But as far as restrictions go, I'm not aware of any.
Thank you.
Commissioner Simmons.
I just want to echo what Commissioner Harper has said. I support this 100%. Seeing Oakland Road on here is very important to me. That's in my district. Although the part of Oakland Road that's county isn't necessarily in my district, it still impacts my constituents. So I support it.
Commissioner Pritchard.
Yes, I recently found out that because of the high rate of fatalities and accidents in Montgomery County, our insurance rates on vehicles are higher than other counties. And I think that a program like this would help us to bring our insurance rates down to a bit more affordable range. So I really do support this.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions or discussion on 2433?
Can I make a clarification on
Yes,
something that Commissioner Simmons said?
Go ahead.
Oakland Road, when we started this process, Oakland Road was still part of our jurisdiction, but back in the summer, that was annexed, so that would be coming off of that list of routes. So just wanted to clarify that Oakland Road would no longer be one of those roads that we would be looking at. That would be something that would fall into the city's SS4.
Commissioner Simmons.
It's the part that, I think the VA and all that that's coming over there, where it touches Guthrie. Is that the area you're talking about?
Any of Oakland Road is not in our jurisdiction now.
Okay.
Can you answer that?
Yeah, the entirety of Oakland Road's been annexed into the city, so that corridor would come off. We would like to add, though, that the city is also going after the same document and grant money, and what that will do is if we're going after a project in a corridor that transitions into the city limits and they're going after the same corridor, it will elevate that project up in importance and should get us a higher look for some federal dollars on those corridors as well. So we have a double impact potential for this county with the city doing one alongside of us.
Okay, that sounds great.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, thank y'all. Next, we have 2434, resolution to alter procedures for public hearings to be conducted as required by law before the Montgomery County Commission. Any discussion on 2434? Commissioner Gannon.
Yeah. So this is basically, we're just changing it from unlimited to 3 people that talk about a non-agenda item. Is that correct?
This went before the Rules Committee, and it's my understanding that this is what the intent was the first time. So it would be 3 people could speak on each agenda item, and then 3 people total could speak on non-related agenda items. So therefore, if there were 3 items on the agenda, you'd have 3, 6, 9, 12 total speakers possible. Any questions or other discussion? Commissioner Fry.
If I understood correctly, we're also making it so any speaker speaking on a non-agenda item had to be relevant to business of the commission, which I don't think was the case before.
Commissioner, that reference is added, but respectfully, it'd be virtually impossible to enforce. Relevancy is somewhat in the eye of the beholder, you know. So it's in there asking that it should be relevant, but, you know, three minutes of arguing about what is and isn't relevant is a little bit longer maybe than just 3 minutes of listening to something.
Understood. I'm not necessarily against it. I'm just stating that I felt like that was a difference from what we had passed before.
Subject matter should be relevant. Aspirationally, that's included in this document.
Agreed.
But I just don't know, when you get into splitting hairs on what is or isn't relevant, I really caution you that I'm not really sure how to adjudicate that, so.
Any other questions or comments? Any other discussion? All right, seeing none. 2435, resolution to allow Montgomery County trustee to pass through all interest without retention. Madam Trustee, you want to come up? Any questions you might have? Do we have any questions on this one? So basically, I'll let you do it.
We've been working on this for a little while, so you are probably just as versed as I am. Late spring, it was brought to our attention from some of the members of the insurance trust. And what their question was is, why is it, if you'll look at some of the interest, their balances are around $28 million, and they were receiving about $2,600 in interest, which is a very good question. And so, as you know, I don't like the because we've always done it before answer. So we called the comptroller's office, we called our state audit team, and we reached out to our accounts and budgets director. At the time, we had two financial advisors who happened to be commissioners, Commissioner Harper and Gannon, and what we decided was right is right. What is the right thing to do? And so right now, we have nothing in writing to guide us. So that's why we've been following that mode. And what we found is that it's recommended that we decide, approve, and we did that in our committee, that we need to take some course of action. In full disclosure, I do not participate in the county insurance program. We all just said this kind of kept us up at night. When you think about the cost of health care increasing, and we manage our own insurance trust, the right thing to do would be to appropriate the funds according to the balance. So if you looked at their balance, per the snapshot that we gave you all in your packet, instead of $2,700 of interest, they would receive about $170,000. And that benefits our school system as well as all of our county employees who participate in the health insurance. And this, if passed, this resolution and these monies will take effect July 1 per the direction of our accounts and budgets director, so that we have clean accounting as you all work out the budget for next year.
Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for doing this. Appreciate it very much, Kimberly. And I was going to ask you a question about premium costs, but you already handled that, so thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you to Commissioner Creek, who agreed with you all as you rolled off the committee. He agreed it's the right thing to do as well. And Commissioner Langford.
Any other discussion on 2435? Commissioner Fry.
It wasn't exactly clear to me what interest we're talking about for this particular matter. Are we talking about all the interest that all the accounts earn, all going to this trust fund, or just the ones that are generated by that trust fund staying with it?
We would absolutely not want to give anyone interest that they are not due. What we're proposing, as we looked at it, you should have a form in your presentation that shows you what's current and what's proposed. And so it shows the funds. Some funds are restricted federally, statewide. There's a reason, or whether it's a bond closing, there's some funds that cannot share any interest. What we're asking is that based on the balance of the self-insurance trust, that they're right now they're receiving very little that is not matching their balance. So we want to make sure whatever their balance is, they receive the interest according to what the balance is.
So we're not talking about interest from the general fund going to this, just the interest from their monies?
It possibly could affect some of the general fund because, again, we're not appropriating the balance, the interest that matches their balance. But I would need permission to do it. We have no permissions to do anything right now. And so that's the main thing that the comptroller had an issue with, is we need to put something in writing. And so there were some other funds that were added as a result that they will receive their interest. But again, those are tied to restrictions from bond closings.
Can you elaborate a little bit on, when we're doing the budget for a year, how we project what interest is going to be and how we're budgeting for that?
Yes, and because I'm not over the budget committee, I will lean to our accounts and budgets director or our mayor, who will make that decision or help guide that decision.
And I think, I'd like to clarify his initial question, is the interest that we're talking about is from the interest of the money that they have in the trust funds, those specific accounts, not other accounts from the general fund going to those accounts.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 2436, resolution of the Montgomery County Highway Department reclassifying one account specialist to a senior administrative specialist. Commissioner Leverett.
Yes, Mayor, I just want to know, budget hearings start in about 30 days, and so can we hold off doing any reclassifications until budget hearings?
Would you like to speak to it, Highway Supervisor?
Absolutely. Sure. So during the pay study process, department heads were not allowed to see other departments' job descriptions, job classifications. And so since that time, we've been able to kind of evaluate where other departments have positions. And we have someone that is fit in this position, and we just feel like it's appropriate to go ahead and get her paid to the level that she's doing work right now.
Why can't you wait 30 days?
Because it's not just 30 days.
Okay.
It's July 1st.
Well, okay, good, I see that, but it's, still, why can't you just wait to the budget process? Because I'm sure there's going to be more reclassifications coming up from other departments. My question is, why not just wait until we get all the reclassifications in so that we can look across departments and look at all the positions that are about equal to each other, and let's get everybody on the same playing field, if you will?
I think this is one where the employee's already in the job, already doing the work. So it's more about compensating the employee for the job and the work that they're currently performing, not could be performing.
Would we not be able to go back and pay them? Or would we not be able to? The reason why I'm asking this is because reclassifications come up a lot. And so close to the budget process, I just don't see why we're constantly doing reclassifications. And I'm speaking from a person who sat on the budget committee. Why, maybe we need to look at how we do reclassifications. I know that it's not a lot, and I know that the person is not getting a large amount, but I'm just wondering if we're going to constantly set a precedence when it comes to reclassification across departments, not just highway department.
I think for this one, it was more of a thing of trying to do right by the employee sooner than later.
That was the same reason that we gave for Resolution 2311-9, though. The same thing. The person was already in a position doing the work, and I asked the same question again. Why don't we wait till the budget process? And I got the same answer, because they're already doing the job. I'm just nervous that we're making that precedent here. I just think we need to wait till budget process. That's all.
Commissioner Harper.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jeff, for bringing this forward. One of the things the pay study did, in my opinion, it showed us inequities in certain departments. I'm very appreciative for you bringing it forward. I don't want to wait until July 1st to compensate someone for the job they've already been doing, and it's the pay study reflected that. So you have my total support on it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Leverett.
Well, how long ago did we do this pay study? How long ago was that?
About a year ago, a little more. It was adopted. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I think it's been a number of years. Maybe we just need to look at all of that all over again if the pay study is still the reason why we're having to make all these reclassifications. I don't know.
We're constantly looking at all of these things as well. As well we should, with over 1,200 employees, we should always be looking to make sure that we're doing the best by them. And I feel like that's what our departments do try to do.
I'm not questioning that. I'm just, wondering if maybe we should just go back, like you said, look at everything, and then maybe just do it during the budget process. Let's even kill everyone so that we're not constantly having reclassifications.
Commissioner Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. Will you have more reclassifications during the budget season?
We will, but those can wait. We have people working towards certifications that they don't have right now, and then at that point, when they get those certifications, we want to have those positions available to them to move into.
But you will have more.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Tangi Smith.
Yes. Can we remove 24-3-6 from the consent agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fry.
Yes, I've sat on the Highway Committee fairly recently, and during that time, there was always unfilled positions. And I was just wondering if there was money from an unfilled position that could be utilized to make this possible without asking for additional funds.
I think that's what the resolution states, that there's available funds from one line item to move to the other to cover the excess of this position.
Is that where it's coming from then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Easy.
All right, any other questions or discussion for 2436? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to 2437, resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners appropriating funds for the design fees for CMCSS Elementary School number 26. Any discussion on 2437? This is for design money only, and it's using an old design that they currently have. That's why the cost isn't astronomical like it can be sometimes. Seeing none. All right. So I will remove 2436 from the consent agenda. Everything else is slated to be on the consent agenda unless somebody objects. Next, we have reports for approval. We have commission minutes dated February 12th, 2024, the county clerk's report and notary list, county mayor nominations and appointments. We have judicial commissioner Joe Papastathis nominated to reappoint for a one-year term to expire March of 2025. And then we also have Convention and Visitors Bureau. Ginger Young is appointed to fill the unexpired term of Maria Jimenez with term to expire June of 2026. Verbal reports, School Board Liaison, Commissioner Nathan Burkholder. Do you have a report, sir?
Thank you. We're hitting the button at the same time. So the school board met on February 20th at 6 p.m. They had an award ceremony. We had several students. One had a perfect score on the ATC. The Northwest High bowling team got runner-up at states, and also we had a CHS cheerleading team that won third at nationals in Orlando. So there was several other things as well, but those were some of the highlights there. There were several public speakers. Representative Ronnie Glenn addressed the board. They voted on several different proposals. One of the biggest topics of discussion was the new elementary school and the naming procedures. They decided to go back to the drawing board on the name and relook at the procedures for deciding names. And then that was most of the highlights we had. And then the next meeting will be on March 12th at 6 p.m. at 621 Gracie Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have our Highway Liaison, Commissioner Ricky Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. Highway Committee met on February the 26th. The right-of-way crew is clearing the side of the roads for limbs to keep them off school buses and taking care of that. They're replacing pipes on Port Royal and Iron House in Hummingbird Lane. Had 48 work orders turned in, 48 completed. Bridges. Chapel Hill Bridge is still, the guardrails will be put in place as soon as they're fabricated, and that will be opened back up. And Rawlings Road Bridge will start work as soon as the weather permitting. They have one job opening, and there will be box culverts placed on Salem Road before they repave that road once the state looks at the drawings and approves it, and also on Chester Harris Road. They're working on 048. They started that February the 26th. working on that road, trying to make it safer. If you look at the highway safety report, there's been about 7 or 8 fatalities on that one road in that section. We will meet again on March the 25th, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for your report, sir. Next, we have our Health Council, Commissioner Jason Knight.
Thank you, Mayor. The Health Council met February 20th at noon. We received a presentation from Rosemary Calcese on butterfly cottages, providing a refuge, place of housing for trafficked teens. Believe it or not, Montgomery County does have an issue with trafficking. We established a subcommittee to update our mental health directory. We received a coordinated health update about our school district by Taryn Suter, and our next monthly meeting will be March 19th at noon. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. We also have reports filed, Building Code monthly reports, CMCSS projects update report, CMCSS quarterly financial report dated December 31st, 2023, our trustees report. Any other announcements? I would like to congratulate Mr. David Smith, our new director of our Veterans Treatment Court. So he has replaced the fine fellow sitting next to him, Mr. Edward Moss over there, who is now over our juvenile resources. So congratulations to you both, and we appreciate the work that both of you do. So Mr. Smith is back here again. He was here once before, left, more experience, more certifications, and now we're blessed to have him back. So thank you both. Also, for the lady commissioners, if you would like to come down front afterwards for a photo for Women's Month. And other than that, does anybody have anything else for the good of the group? All right, we'll be adjourned. Thank y'all.